What's happening, all you cool cats and kittens? This is Joe Bravo with Mo Bravo Knife Reviews, and today I have the Skiff Trifecta. That's right, the Skiff Accomplice, the Skiff Culprit, and the Skiff Drifter are all on the board today. I was very excited to get my hands on all three. I really wanted to know what blade was going to speak to me the best. My buddy Airtrade gave me a stellar deal on the Accomplice. I was able to pick up the Culprit on Knife Swap and the Drifter on Blade Forum, and every one that I've got has been absolutely terrific. I'm going to start with the Drifter. I think this one's been getting more and more attention as the haptic has been getting more popular. It's been a blade that everybody's really been comparing the two. I've had 3 haptics, 2 haptics. I don't even remember. I've got one coming in the mail today, believe it or not. And what do I think about the Drifter compared to the haptic? I think the Drifter has a little bit more handle length. It is a little bit larger in the hand. I think the blade is similar, but this one's a little special. This one, the previous owner had it sent out to Skiff to get a regrind, and you're going to say, well, Joe, it looks like a sheepfoot blade. What did they regrind? They made it really, really thin behind the edge. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's fucking awesome. This knife, when I handle it, I tend to ride the lock bar a lot more than I do my Culprit and my Accomplice. And because of that, the detent's a little stronger. And I don't know what it is. I'm not pressing on my middle finger on the lock bar when I release it. And when I first gotten this knife and I was struggling to fight that detent, I thought I was going to get rid of the Drifter. Believe it or not, I think out of the 3 of these, the Culprit has been my favorite. And I think it has to do with the way the Culprit fits in the palm of my hand with this lower part of the scale here versus as it's pointed and a little higher. You know, when I grip this thing, my ring finger isn't doing enough to hold the knife. And when it does, the blade will actually come out, and on its way out, it'll almost hit the palm of my hand as it's tucked under there. Otherwise, you know, with the Culprit, it's just as it sits in the palm, this cove just sits in there perfectly, and I never have any problem riding the detent or riding the lock bar. It just deploys beautifully. So yesterday, before I carried the Drifter, I said, fuck it, I'm going to sell the other 2. I'm going to keep the Culprit. It's the perfect fit. But I'm going to tell you, the regrind that they did on this blade is stupid. I mean, you got a box, the flat shit rate boxes. Somebody slaps on a label with all the tape in the world, and you go, fuck, I want to use that box because I don't feel like building another one and go to UPS. How am I going to get that damn tape out of that box? Well, if you were to use the Accomplice, I mean, this thing is thick. And this edge, albeit is nice, it is not as thin as this Drifter. And this thing is like a laser beam. It's like a scalpel. And I think it might stay around a little bit longer. I offered it to my buddy Corey. I offered it to my buddy Kyle. Even Kristen tried to get her hands on it. But they all passed. And because of that, I think this might become my new tool in packing and shipping. I know that sounds like a waste. And I don't know. With the edge set thin behind the edge, would you ever put this thing to real hard use? Or do you run the risk of almost using like a razor blade? You get 1, 2, 3, 4 cuts out of it, and the next thing you know, it's dull. You know, whereas if I keep that for doing label and cardboard or light cardboard, you know, packing tape type shit, I could never have to sharpen that again and have an ultra sharp laser with great ergos. I mean, when I point this blade up, it is right at the specific angle I want to be to open up these boxes. And I know that's stupid to say that I want a $800-900, you know, letter opener or box opener, but it, you know, actually has a great use. And, like I said, it might stay around for a little bit longer. All right, so that is the 3.25-inch drifter. And it is a fantastic, fantastic knife. I'm really enjoying it. I believe this has XHP steel. I think they all have XHP steel. I believe that's the steel that's coming out of Skiff Made Blades Workshop. The Culprit, again, is 3.25 inches. As you can see, it's a little bit more of that drop point style blade. This actually has a Zerk disc in there, which is why you could see it's doing a little bit of color changing, which I fucking love. On the show side, on the go side, you've got a Zerk milled clip, and you've got a Zerk backspacer, and this thing fires like a rocket every time. One shake shut, just perfect, exactly what you want, and a small EDC knife. My only complaint is the Zerk clip is a little tough to get in and out of the pocket, but that's something you can certainly work on. And when I got it, the edge, in comparing it to the drifter, is not as sharp as I want it. So my buddy James is going to take it today or tomorrow, and he is going to put a really nice edge on it for me. Hopefully it compares to the drifter, because why wouldn't I want it to? The last knife is the Accomplice. Again, this is XHP steel. This is a 3.5-inch blade, and this probably fits my hand the best. Great action, one shake shut. This doesn't have the milled. I believe they call this the 3D, where it's actually a little bit raised, and it's almost polarizing. You hit that with a little bit of Windex, and this thing freaking glows. This pocket clip is great. It does sit a little high out of the pocket, so you see about this much of the backspacer as it's sitting in your pocket. Some people like a deep carry, some people don't. That's up to their preference. But I really love that knife, but I couldn't justify keeping the Culprit and the Accomplice. So my buddy James, that's going to put on the edge for the Culprit, is going to take the Accomplice off my hands and tune this baby up for me, which I got no qualms about. How do they compare to other knives? So I've got a couple of Holts, and I'll pull out my buddy Dave's Bent Starburst, a little bit more of a milling pattern, so you can get an idea. The Holt's great. One of my favorite knives, if not the favorite knife that I own as a flipper. Perfect ergos for me. Terrific drop shuttiness, and just an overall quality EDC blade. But if I was to use or hard use a knife, I could be honest with you. I think the Skiff is a little tighter tolerance. It is a little bit harder use ready. It is, they call it bank vault. There's no shake. There's no play. There's no detent lock rock. I mean, it is just perfect on every one of these. I mean, just absolutely perfect. And I'm not saying the Holt isn't, and it's not a detriment to the Holt, but just the hand rub blade, to the way that they mill that disc, to the milling in the handle. I really think Skiff is not a knockdown or not a knock up, but right in line with the Holt Spectre and the Holt knives. But my preference, and again, maybe that's because there's no lightning cuts, there's no internal milling. These things are ready to go. You got to hit somebody with this, and not that I'm condoning that shit. That'll fucking hurt. I mean, it is solid, I mean, yeah, I guess you could whack somebody over the head with the Holt, but I'm telling you, if you ever had a Koenig full weight and you compared it to a Koenig with lightning cuts, you'll know instantly what I'm talking about. It's it's like having a Curtis F3, 7 ounces in your pocket. Now, I'm not saying these are 7 ounces. All I'm saying is it is a full weight knife that you could trust more than daily carries, more than normal cut in a box or cut in label tape. If you had to hard use these Skiff knives, I would 100%, like a CRK, trust the hell out of those Skiff blades. And that's why I think I'm going to keep the Culprit. And I think I'm going to keep the Drifter now that I've been playing with it a little bit more. I know a lot of my friends have Drifter builds on order. One of the hardest things to have happen is that you place your order and you got to wait. And I'm very much looking forward to their interpretations of these knives. I don't find anybody getting Accomplice and Culprits. Everybody's getting a Drifter. Guess what? The Drifter is fantastic, but don't slouch over the Accomplice and don't slouch over the Culprit. I know Steve and the Skiff Made Blade team can do Damascus, Damascus, a whole bunch of different configurations. Supposedly, if you want something changed, you can send it back. My buddy Air Trade that gave me this originally had standoffs here, and he sent it in and got the backspacer, and I could not imagine this knife without that sweet looking backspacer. And the jimping on that backspacer, it just makes the knife look beautiful. It's so classy, matches this jimping pattern on the blade. I mean, it just makes the thing polarizing. The Culprit has this milled, I think they call it milk something style Zerk backspacer. It's just beautiful. And Zerk, it'll, you ruin the finish on it. All you got to do is apply a little bit of heat and that oxidation will come back. And then that same style backspacer that you see similar on the Culprit, you see a little bit smaller version on the Drifter. The Drifter actually looks like a little bit thinner of a knife. If I had to gauge by the eye test, it does look like the Culprit is a little bit thicker. Looks like the scales are a little bit thicker. They are about the same size, both 3.25-inch blades. I can get the whatchamacallit out, the ruler out, and you're almost, I'd say 7 3/4, a little bit more, 7 7/8 as far as overall length, which is perfect for me. I like anything over about 7.5 because I got wide palms, and it's funny, man. I want to see the Culprit and the Spectre. Yeah, that Spectre is longer, but the Culprit's so comfortable the way that the handle's positioned here, that even with that shorter length, you don't find it uncomfortable. I mean, shit, the ergos on the Spectre are just phenomenal too. But I don't know what to tell you. I love both of them. I love all of them. I think that the Skiff blade, anyone that you get, is going to be fantastic. I'm going to miss the Accomplice. It was the first Skiff that I had. It's probably the one that's most polarizing. I do get a little bit, I guess, reserved when I put the Culprit in. It does not bling as hard as the Accomplice does. I could always send the Culprit in and get the materials changed, but on the other side of that, you're not going to find another Culprit looking like this. You're not going to find a Culprit with this Zerk milled disc, the Zerk pocket clip, and that's kind of what makes this thing special to me. Yep. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Let me know if you want any comments. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you check out the podcast. We got TKI coming up today. And then the Nashville Custom Knife Show tomorrow and Sunday. And then next week is Blade. I am very much looking forward to having a conversation with some of the people that are heading to these shows, that have gone to these shows, that can tell us some firsthand experience about these shows. So let me know. What do I have incoming? I have another haptic. If I keep the Drifter, I'm going to do a Drifter haptic video. I've got an Impulse and an Isotope coming. If those two stick around, I would definitely like to do an Isotope versus Impulse full-size Gen 2 comparison video. And then who the hell knows what's next? I don't know. I never know what the hell comes through. So, you guys have a lovely day. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. And don't be afraid to reach out. Peace.